The Edmonton Oilers lost a heartbreaker last night to the Colorado Avalanche. Vincent Desharnais might be out after a fight with Josh Manson, and Edmonton are in on a goaltending prospect showing promise in USports. All that and more on this episode of Oilers Digest, but first, be sure to subscribe to the channel. It'll help us make more Oilers content for you all to enjoy. Last night's game against the Colorado Avalanche was a rematch of the 2022 Western Conference Final and could very well be a preview of a playoff series deep into the 2024 postseason. That, of course, is far from determined as of yet, but what is known is that these are two of the league's best teams. Edmonton came in after a pretty emotional victory over the Washington Capitals on Wednesday, as did the Colorado Avalanche, who had pulled off an incredible comeback victory in Vancouver on that same day. The game between the Avs and the Oilers looked primed to be a fight between the two high-power offenses. You've got 4 of the top 9 point scorers in the league in this game, Draisaitl, McDavid, McKinnon, and Rantanen, as well as 2 of the top 6 point scorers among defensemen in Cale Makar and Evan Bouchard. But the offense didn't lead the charge early on. Stuart Skinner and Alexander Georgiev stood on their heads for the first half of this hockey game. They both stopped everything that was thrown their way. It ended up being one of the newest Colorado Avalanche players who scored first. Sean Walker walked in on a rush and fired a beautiful shot past Stuart Skinner's blocker off the rush. That made it 1-0 going into the third period. Taking a step back and looking back on Wednesday night against the Washington Capitals, one of the most positive takeaways from that game for the Edmonton Oilers was the depth players getting in on the scoring. Yeah, you had McDavid and Draisaitl goals, you had a Zach Hyman hat trick, but perhaps more importantly, you had Warren Foegele and Connor Brown each chip in with a goal. For Connor Brown, his first of the year, and Ryan McLeod, Adam Henrique, and Brett Kulak all earned assists in the process. That theme continued into Saturday night's game for the Edmonton Oilers. Warren Foegele got his second goal in as many games to tie things up at 1. That was huge in the third period. Fogel's now got a career-high 16 goals and 35 points in the year. He's on pace for his first 20-goal season. After he tied things up, Sam Carrick scored his first goal as an Edmonton Oiler to make it 2-1. Unfortunately, the Oilers' lead was short-lived. Sean Walker would score again, his second of the game, making things 2-2 and sending the two teams into overtime, which, of course, is such an exciting prospect for these two teams who play with such a high pace already at 5-on-5. The best chances for the Edmonton Oilers came in the first minute of overtime. Both Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had great scoring chances but couldn't beat Alexander Georgiev, and that led to the end of OT. With under 8 seconds to go, Cale Makar fired a stretch pass up to Nathan McKinnon, who couldn't initially control the puck, but he wins the race to it in the corner, spins it onto his backhand, and finds Arturi Lehkonen streaking to the front of the net with a great pass. Lehkonen beats Skinner with just a half a second left in overtime, a heartbreaking way for the Edmonton Oilers to lose. Stuart Skinner and Alexander Georgiev were probably two of the standouts of this game, along with, of course, Sean Walker, who had 2 goals, but Skinner ended up stopping 40 of his 43 shots, Georgiev 32 of his 34. As I mentioned before, this could very easily be a playoff matchup this season, but before that can happen, we'll have 2 more regular season matchups between Edmonton and Colorado, April 5th in Edmonton and April 18th in Denver. One of the more impactful takeaways moving forward from last night's game was the fact that Vincent Desharnais didn't play in the third period. Him and Josh Manson fought late in the second, and while there was no visible injury from the play, Desharnais didn't take another shift after that. After the game, Oilers coach Kris Knoblauch said, and I quote, "We're just going to evaluate him with his health. We'll see. Hopefully it's not major. We're just being cautious." Oilers deadline acquisition Troy Stecher has played once for Edmonton since the trade and would be a natural replacement on Edmonton's right-sided defense if Desharnais does miss time due to an injury. Vincent Desharnais' play has taken a big step since he made his debut with the Oilers last season, and he's settled into a top-4 role playing alongside Darnell Nurse, and really, he will be missed if he does miss some time, no matter who the Oilers have to plug in on that right side. Next up, according to Ben Steiner of CBC Sports, the Edmonton Oilers are, quote, leading the charge to sign USports Rookie of the Year Connor Ungar, the goaltender for Brock University. Ungar had a slightly tumultuous junior hockey career. He only appeared in 15 WHL games until his 19-year-old season, and he didn't earn a spot as a team starting goaltender in the dub until his final year of junior eligibility. That was last year with the Moose Jaw Warriors, but he was great with Moose Jaw last season. He put up a .925 save percentage in 38 games with the team. The now 22-year-old is another example of a late bloomer who could make a jump to pro after a strong transition from junior hockey to university hockey. He's in USports, of course. He posted a 2.15 goals against average and a .932 save percentage. Edmonton's 23-year-old prospect goaltender Olivier Rodrigue has taken a huge step forward in Bakersfield in each of his last 2 seasons and now is really playing the best hockey of his pro career. 31-year-old Calvin Pickard is an unrestricted free agent next summer, and Jack Campbell's future with the team has kind of perennially been up in the air, so Rodrigue could very easily steal the spot as Stuart Skinner's backup next season, and if that's the case, bringing Connor Ungar into Bakersfield could give the Oilers just another strong goaltending prospect in the AHL, one that could see a pro look if he continues the trajectory that his career has been on. He's steadily but significantly improving over the past 3 seasons now. That's it for us today. Thank you so much for tuning into Oilers Digest.